Fire Ops 101 is a unique public education event that gives participants the opportunity to experience firsthand some of the challenges that firefighters face on a daily basis. Working together, the Tuscaloosa Fire Rescue Service and Local 403 of the International Association of Firefighters developed exercises that simulate some of the more common emergency operations that firefighters perform. The personal experience of each participant provided greater understanding of life in the fire service.
Well, this was a great experience. I wish every citizen could go through this. It would help us to know that when the firemen and police are on the scene, that we getting back and letting them do their job would be such a big help to them. I have a greater appreciation for all that the firemen do. It's hard work. They deserve every penny they get and more, and we ought to have more young people going into it who are young and able-bodied and being able to do something good for the community. I like this. I'll do it again if they ask me to.
This has been one fantastic experience. I had no idea what these firemen go through, number one, in their training. I believe they're trained in this for about 12 weeks before they're even allowed to be out on the street. But then what they go through in an actual fire or an actual accident.
It's been a great experience today. Learned a lot, been around firefighters 20-something years, being a police officer, but I never had to do it firsthand, and just being able to join in and just simulate what they do, I gained a lot more respect for what firefighters do.
Certainly they have dangerous jobs, but jobs that are absolutely necessary. I've actually gone through a situation where I had to be extricated from a car in an accident, and I got a chance this time to see it from the other side. And they do a wonderful job. They know what they're doing. There are a lot of hazards on the scene, and they are prepared for them, from everything from sharp objects to exploding canisters and airbags. They are prepared for it, and they do a wonderful job.
I was exposed to, in a small way, to what the people in the fire and rescue squad in the Tuscaloosa district are exposed to every day. And it was a wonderful experience for me and very informative. We were able to go through 4 exercises, one a car wreck, one a fire, and one a house, and one a pit burning, and we just was exposed to a little bit of what every fireman is exposed to in their daily operations and when they call their fire. They were very professional, they're very committed, and they're very good.
At the Fire Ops, I realized that the job that firefighters do every day is a lot harder than I expected it to be. I mean, you know that it's a tough job, they're fighting fires, but I never really took into account that they're hauling around 75 pounds of gear and they're crawling under smoke and boiling water, and it was just a lot more to it than what I've seen standing on the sidelines as a reporter.
When I was at the Fire Ops 101, it was very educational. I learned a lot about what the firemen really go through and how important it is to really have backup and have someone there to help you out. Because when you're pulling someone out that's 165 pounds, it's really difficult to actually get them out the front door, or when you're trying to maneuver someone out without causing any more injury, it's nice to have an extra person there just to give you a helping hand.
We took a lady or a man out in the car, had to use the jaws of life and so forth and see how they work. And we've gone through a pit fire and shown how to put the fires out and keep the firemen themselves cool. And then we did the training on CPR and so forth.
When I put on the firefighting equipment, just to put that additional 35, 40 pounds of weight on, it's a sobering thing. You realize right then that this is serious business. At first you may not think it's necessary, but the moment you get into a situation where there's heat and fire, you realize that you need all the protection you can get. From the helmet, the gloves, the jacket, all of the things that you have, even that hood that fits under the helmet is absolutely necessary to cover the exposed skin. You don't realize that until you actually get in a fire situation, and you don't want anything exposed or feeling the heat, and it makes you appreciate it more. It's heavy, it's cumbersome, but it's absolutely necessary. And I learned that their equipment is steadily evolving. There's always someone out there coming up with better, lighter, more effective equipment. And I'm glad that those tanks were as light as they are, because I heard that they used to be steel and much heavier.
These guys go through this every day, and I think people in the city ought to find out, actually go through this or see what this is like. If they can't go through the actual training like we're doing, there ought to be a film that they can watch and see what these firemen go through, because it's an awful lot of training, and of course we owe our lives to them when we're in an accident and when we have a house fire.
Well, me and Bob Lundell were probably the seniors out here today, and I was watching him and saying to myself, if he could do it, I could do it. And he was watching me and saying the same thing. We both went through it quite well. We were both more appreciative of what the firemen go through because we're a little bit older, but it was good. We did the building type fire where it was completely dark inside, and we actually went in with thermal cameras and crawling around and feeling our way, and the temperature seemed like it was 1,000 degrees, but we were suited up and it was hot, and we brought out a simulated body. And then we did the fire pit where we had a simulated petroleum fire, and it was hot, and we had to have 2 men on the hose and 1 pulling the hose back, so 3 men there, a 3-man team. It was hot, extremely hot, but they showed us how to spray and how to do it from the bottom of the fire and push the fire back. And it was a good experience. I enjoyed it. Real hot, equipment is hot and heavy, but it works. When you get in a fire situation, you don't want to be without that equipment.
These outfits, of course, save their lives, but they're also extremely warm inside. A day like this with the breeze blowing is not too bad, but I can imagine what it's like in a fire situation. Number one, with the heat from the fire, but number one, if it's 90 or 100 degrees outside. Because all of this equipment that we have on is heavy and bulky, and you can't really see very well when you have some of the equipment on. You can trip over things, trip over hoses and so forth, so it's extremely dangerous.
Going into the burning house was a scary experience. You can actually panic inside there if you really don't think. So I admire their bravery also. And to go in there and to rescue somebody that's dying or injured, it's a very stressful situation.
On the car fire, we were about to have lunch and we had a call saying that the car was on fire, and we had to drop everything we was doing and get suited up just like the regular firemen go down and actually extinguish the car fire. And it was a great experience. It get the adrenaline going, and that's enough to give you a heart attack if you're not in shape. But this is great.
The city of Tuscaloosa is very fortunate in the fact that they have one of the finest fire departments in the United States. We have a dedicated, professional group of men and women that provide outstanding emergency and non-emergency services every day. It's often a bit of a challenge for people like myself to explain the need for the number of firefighters that we need to do our job. Firefighting is a labor-intensive occupation. Anytime you need to staff an organization 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, it requires a lot of people.
What we would like the citizens to see and the people that participated in Fire Ops 101 is the importance of having enough firefighters and enough people on the scene when you have an emergency. You never have too many people, and I believe in Fire Ops 101 we showed that to the people that participated.
The recent tragedy in Charleston, South Carolina has taught us the importance of a well-trained fire department. Thanks to Fire Chief Alan Martin and his dedicated staff of firemen, we have one of the best fire departments in the Southeast. To prove this point, our fire department hosted Fire Ops 101. This was a training for community leaders, elected officials, and media to see what our firefighters do on a daily basis. From putting out fires to opening up cars that have been in a wreck to hazmat situations, we all gained a better understanding of the bravery and professionalism of our fire department. Fire Ops 101 symbolizes what is great about Tuscaloosa. This was labor and management working together. With the City of Tuscaloosa, Tuscaloosa Fire and Rescue, and Local 403, we were able to show the people of Tuscaloosa the dedication and professionalism of our fire department.
And I want to go on record to say whatever I can do to support the firefighters, I want to do that. Because anytime we can save a firefighter or save a life, I think that's a big plus. So anything I can do as a councilman, I want to support them. But it's been a good experience today, and I enjoyed it. But I'm glad it wasn't a real thing. But it was hot. But anyway, I'm glad it's over now.